Okay, I think we have everyone who we're going to have here. So, um, I'll keep my eye on the waiting room if I can, just to make sure. But that will do. So, I believe, last session, inverted commas ended early.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't feeling very well. But I think we still did like 3 hours or so, didn't we? Maybe 4.
We spent like the first-ish hour going over your plans for the Patreon.
Right. I don't think it was like 30 minutes maybe. I don't think I went on that
It
long.
was 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah. That's a lot less than an hour, mister.
Not much. Not
It
by
was
It's
much.
24
about
hours of exposition about a Patreon.
yeah. Well, you may be happy to know that I am knee deep, maybe shoulder deep even, in editing currently, so
Yeah,
Yay, editing.
nice.
it's got a little the next show coming has a little bit of a twist to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing like super special or interesting. It's just there's some,
The alpha leads didn't turn up.
yeah, there's some accompanying artwork which is kind of cool. So
The players actually die in real life. They lose their character.
that's true.
My God.
No, Sheepy is working with Truck-kun to isekai them into the world.
I have thrown around the idea of an isekai TTRPG, an isekai show, but thus far I haven't put any progress on it. So
Yeah.
so yeah. Last session, I believe we had a fair amount of planning, which means that at this point, I'm pretty sure you're setting off on a trip to the southeastern Western port, yes?
Yeah, we're gonna pick up a contract to transport goods to Vadachi, and we're going to drop off a spy team on this island to scout out whether we can actually destroy this fort before it's actually created.
I should probably pick up some things in the Western port then.
Okay, I hadn't heard much about destroying the Castilian port.
Not destroy,
just
not
CP.
destroy.
Okay.
Infiltrate, scout.
To find
Yeah,
out
they're
if you can destroy it.
yeah,
Yes?
to find out if we can destroy it. It's a reconnaissance mission right now.
The initial plan was less about destroying and more about raiding it
Mhm.
for anything valuable to
I
us.
find out if it's got anything good. Maybe poisoning their food supply. Yes, I am
Yeah.
taking the diuretics with me.
Good.
Uh,
Basically, it's a
Gangman, if
mission.
you do decide to poison them, can you poison them better than a certain group in the last ditch?
I will definitely give it my best shot. I'm not necessarily trying to kill them.
okay. Before we get into it, let's revisit this Castile port thing quickly, because I don't want you guys making a massive plan and then being either disappointed or whatever. So just to be clear, you are thinking about destroying, raiding. Like, what's the plan with this? Because
Okay, so we don't have a solid plan to destroy this.
right,
So the plan is we pick up a contract from this Vestinport,
yes.
which is the main hub in between Old Thea and the Atabean.
Yeah.
The contract is going to have us going to the Vodachi port to drop off the supplies that or whatever goods we pick up here. We're getting a contract to drop it off at the Vodachi.
Right.
During the journey, we're gonna drop off a small rowboat off the coast of this, where they're gonna row in under the cover of darkness to land, and then Franks and Brooks. And let me say, this is what we agreed upon last session. We can change our minds.
Okay.
And then Franks and Brooks are supposed to infiltrate and look around, and with the information they bring back, we decide whether or not we can destroy this fort before it gets built, because we've been raiding their supply lines, so they haven't actually produced anything of
Uh,
they don't have major defenses, is what we're assuming, and it's Brooks and Franks who are gonna tell us
Well,
whether that's
we're
true or
doing the
not.
bulk of the infiltration. We're also dragging along 2 other red shirts, just in case.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brento
Bo-
Benny and Monsieur Andres.
yeah. You brought some other. This is your plan, damn man, or
That's
the
fine.
infiltration is under you. What's going on with the infiltration?
Okay, so obviously bringing a couple of extra guys because it's always handy to have a couple of more extra guys if you need to take out a small group of people, which is not necessarily the plan. The main goal is get high enough up that we can get a good view of the courtyard, find out where the certain things are stored. If we can get into if we can get into the food supply and poison them, we'd be highly likely to do that because you're always handy to weaken your enemy, so to speak.
I would
But it
probably
is
wait with the
mainly
poisoning just to we don't even know if we want to raid them, so maybe
not
not alarm
necessarily
them.
deadly. That's one of the reasons I'm taking the dialectics with me. So make them all sick. So if we do then decide to raid them later, they're softened up. And find out where
So-
they might be storing other things. So where might they be storing the powder? Where might they be storing gold? Yeah, information that if you're raiding is going to be rather helpful because that's what you're going there for.
We still don't even know if it's worth it to raid them. That's kind of my point.
True. We have no
Yeah.
idea. That's why I'm going. Find out what they've got there. If anything, is it worth it? If it's not, so be it. If it is, then I'm going to know where the things are so we can be in and out quicker.
Okay.
It is very much a information gathering, not killing people kind of mission.
So, what I would say as a small piece of advice,
Mhm.
is it totally makes sense to drop someone off, for a quick, for a quick kind of scout, see what they've got, see the progress they're on, just get a lay of the land. Honestly, it would make sense for all of the ports that you feel you may not be able to just walk into, as it were, or sail into. I would say
Was this a fort or a fort, to be exact?
This was a. Yeah, well, Shibi has to redefine it. He originally called it a fort.
It was still under
Um,
construction,
Right.
and we stole their building
that
materials.
that was still under construction. So it's
So we
it's
assume
like-
we still don't have much build up or anything.
right. So
Because if it's a fort, I'm taking this very much along the infiltration right. If it's just a small port, then I can avoid being as sneaky.
right. So this is essentially currently a fort.
Okay.
The yeah.
I'm
Think of it as as an anchor point to their expanse into the new world. So while it is most likely every new call it stronghold, call it key point, call it established little whatever that the call them European powers start to set down will probably always start off fort or fort-like.
Mhm.
Just purely because, that's the way to start them off, and then you can start, if they choose to, start turning them into a port, into a town, into a more settled settlement.
Mhm.
So given the layout of that area, it makes the most sense for the furthest most island, the tip of it, to essentially get kind of stamped down with some Castilian fort or kind of, military outpost for now. Who knows what it'll turn into? For now, it is essentially a fort being built for all intents and purposes.
Cool.
So yes, my advice would be, it makes a lot of sense to scout all of the ports, all of the settlements, get a lay of the land, and to be fair, you probably have a decent idea of the
I think the main reason we
Avalonian ones, just purely because that's where you were technically operating out of originally. If I don't think any of the others you'd be particularly suspect. You could probably even land in a Castilian one, most likely in like a port, and be pretty much under the radar. But the thing that I would advise against is making plans to directly affect or attack any of the nations. You have to remember that you are a tiny outfit of like 80 people, and you have one ship. Now, as things stand, none of the nations have a large presence in the Atabean Sea yet, and they're not particularly looking to charge in with, a flotilla of like 20 ships or something. However, if you start destroying forts, if you start affecting one country too heavily, I mean, A, they're likely to, roll in with some heavy hitting. Also, a lot of these outposts and forts and stuff will feature a lot more people and activity. Then A, you'll probably want to deal with, and B, you'll be really, like there's a lot of way around. There's a lot of ways around it, right? Like, you can go in under the cover of darkness, you can poison them, you can infiltrate them and blow up the thing. My question would be is, why do you want to? Like, not saying that you don't know,
I think with this one it was that it was under construction rather than actually being fully built, and again, we
right.
could probably use the construction materials. But I am purely the person who's been asked to infiltrate it. I have no idea why I'm doing so.
So,
I was not at that meeting, if I remember rightly.
no, no.
No, you weren't.
So, what I'm essentially saying is like, as GM, I don't have an issue if that's the route you want to go down. What I would purely say is, make sure you have a think about why you're wanting to do it, and is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Because at the end of the day, you guys are pirates. There are a lot easier ways, as you've already highlighted. There are a lot easier ways of getting materials. You find a merchant ship out there, someone, regardless who it belongs to. You'll be able to grab it. You'll be able to steal all the shit. You can then go take it and trade it. You can then buy the things you need, or even get a nice little transport ship of yourself to start trading, or whatever. The aim of, like, let's take one of the great powers of the world and blow up one of their ports, or You know, don't get me wrong. If you want to infiltrate some people there and siphon off some of their construction work, you know, put it in a stash and then come and pick it up again, that totally makes sense. Aiming more for the destruction of a fort. Yeah, imagine a pirate crew destroying like Spain's new kind of "we're here and we stand strong" like port or something. Those guys would get fucked up for doing something. You know, like you don't wanna get too much attention on you, because at the end of the day, you know, as GM, there's only so much I can do to be like, oh yeah, you know, you raided a few of their ships. They kind of count that as like an acceptable loss, you know, the price of doing business. You blow up one of their forts, and that's attacking Spain itself, you know.
Okay, so just like for my like information and understanding, roughly in comparison to our military strength, how many warships or how many infantrymen can Spanish settlement here put together? Like if we have one ship, do they have 5 ships? Do they have 500 ships? What do they have?
So the Castilians and the Avalonians have about 10. I would say they probably have one ship of the line, along with like 8 to 10 man of wars frigates. You know, like right proper bastard ships. And then they have a few. All of them have like anywhere from, I'd say, like 4 to 10, depending on how invested they are in like establishing themselves in the seas. So Ison and Veston a bit less. They have more trade ships, except the Vodacci has a mixture. The French, who I can never remember what their bloody name is,
Montaigne
have probably the most middling of everyone, and then the Avalonians and the and the Castilians have a fairly heavy presence, probably because they were fighting each other. In terms of manpower, you're looking at a few thousand soldiers, probably. I'd say like 2,000 to 3,000 for most of them. Marines and you know, soldier, like proper detachments of soldiers. And then you've got like the sailors and etc. too. Probably got a fair number of cannons and etc.
Alright, guys, we just need to kill 150 men between each of us, including the rest of the crew.
Yeah. So
like
so here's Sheepy, here's
Yeah.
what if Gilligan was in charge of the raid was gonna happen.
Yeah.
The ship would be flying the colors of Avalon.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't look like a pirate crew was attacking them, it'd look like an Avalonian ship was attacking them.
I mean, like, that's a rough one because they literally just signed a peace treaty. I'd say it's the least likely moment for them to. Don't get me wrong, like a false flag isn't a terrible plan. I would say again, like.
So I'm not saying that I am committed to the raid. I am just telling you this is how Gilligan would plan it if we decided to raid them.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, is it even worth it?
Yeah, like we don't even know if there's enough there to be worth raiding. It's just the idea of
Right now they are more vulnerable than they will ever be.
Yeah.
So the best way I can maybe highlight what my thinking is here is, like, you guys aren't and probably won't for a fair while be players in the game. As in, like, in the Atabean Sea, you are, luckily for you guys, a tiny speck blip.
Yeah.
Like, essentially, I would say if you all really want to start delving into like playing nations against each other, you know, like destroying forts, like all of that kind of thing, like we can start heading down that direction and start working towards it. What you have now is a little out of the way, probably impossible to find settlement where you can essentially be criminals. You know, you can venture out, you can pirate, you can maybe even steal and you know, go to ports and stuff. Like the view I have on your current setup and established like operation, let's call it, is that you might raid a Vadachi friendly warehouse for some supplies because you can't be asked to pay for it, or because you don't have the money, or because why would you pay for it when you can raid it? Going directly against like a fort for one of the major powers is pretty big stuff, and doing something like all I will say is it's not impossible if you plan it and if you execute it. There's even a possibility of it going fine, and it you know, the problem is the problems you might run into, for example, for your plan, Potato, which is a pretty good plan.
Yeah.
Is what happens if, considering they just signed a treaty, if the Castilians go, why the fuck did you attack us? And the Avalonians go, we didn't attack you. Look, here are our shipping logs. We'll open up. You know, we don't want war again currently. Trade is good. And then they go, oh, so it wasn't you, so it was a false flag type thing. And then they start looking into it, and then questions start getting asked, and that's when the spotlight kind of goes on you guys.
Is there such a thing as isolated warehouse? Are there any other smaller settlements on the map that we do not know about? Or is the like ideal Vodacha set warehouse still in the town? They just don't have enough town guard or whatever it is.
So generally speaking, the ports, like, are fairly wide along the shores and are fairly big. You know, we're talking a good 5 to 10,000 people, depending on the place. So there are multiple shipping companies that work for work and operate in all of the ports, who are contracted but independent from the nations. So they're doing trading, they're doing all of these things. You don't have there will be a lot of times like the Castilian ship you attacked was not a Castilian naval ship. It was a Castilian trader transporting via contract, you know, so they get the goods under a government contract, and so it's a lot easier for the Castilian government to be like, they didn't attack us, you know, even though they're trading under a government seal. It's like, you know, it's not as big a deal as if you go directly after like, you know, some official government, etc. But sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze. Like, if you hear about a Castilian treasure ship transporting gold back from the New World to Castile, you may decide, well, we can take a little extra heat if we get all that fucking gold, right? But, as I said, if you do want to go down a more, let's call it like epic route of going up against the countries themselves, that's a viability. That's just something I would consider a lot more later down the line, once you have a fair few ships yourselves and you're operating with more impunity. You know, you can just kind of go out and pirate some ships, and you've got a good, you know, few hundred pirates at least living on the island, you know, that kind of thing.
All
Okay. But having said all of that, not invalid to go and scout out the Castilians. I don't want you guys to get too fixed in your plans to, like, destroy a Castilian fort or something. That's something that is very hard as a GM to just hand wave away and be like, you'll be fine,
Mhm.
But I may end up taking some gold when I'm, infiltrating things. But don't worry too much.
Oh yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you nick like a few whatevers, that's perfectly fine. Like, it's something that happens.
I mean, it'd be strange for me not to.
Yeah. Okay. I believe in the notes there is the expedition. Yes, going to Keeler. So it's Lucky Lucine with 6 guns, less than usual because you are headed.
We are just trading. We are but innocent traders that try to get established in the region. We are doing nothing but transport.
Don Fernando is captaining. Mr. Farlan is dealing with the merchant stuff. Brooks and Franks are there with Berto Benini, which sounds like panini and makes me hungry, and Macario Andres. A crew of 20, and Bowden has a fetch quest attached to it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to go and complete the Bowden Rage Juice fetch quest.
Yes. Cool.
I mean, that's the whole reason I'm coming on this, and definitely not to infiltrate somewhere.
Yeah. So is anyone else here going with, or are you staying back to do island things?
If Mr. Farland thinks it's a good idea for me to introduce him to the Vestan merchants, because there is a bit of a meh between the two major merchant powers in the world, which is the Vadachi and the Vestan, I would go, but that's the only thing I would be doing. So
Yeah.
I don't really see a value in me going.
Honestly, Mr. Farlan is one of those traders where money is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
So, like, he has contacts in most of the nations, if not all of them, and is very happy to do deals with anyone as long as it makes him money.
And I think we have the letter of introduction for them.
Yeah. I was saying if the Vestan traders have more of a problem with him than he has with them.
Okay.
For that type of introduction, then I would go. But other than that, no.
All right. Bowden, you're staying back too?
Unless someone actually asked him to come along, I don't think he would actually go on a transport / investigation mission.
All right.
He's pretty easily recognizable. It'd be pretty hard to hide him.
Yeah. In that case, Don Fernando and Mr. Brooks, you along with some crew and Franks and Benini and Andres, you set sail, which I believe we did last episode, but we'll do it again. Why not? You set sail down towards the southeast, down towards Keeler, which is the larger trading port. On the way, and Brooks, it's a pretty small ship, so Brooks, anytime you want to be involved in a conversation, you can be. Same with you, Don Fernando. In this instance, Mr. Farlan comes to talk to the captain, Don Fernando, and he says, Don Fernando, I am curious if you have any preference for the cargo that we are going to transport, going to take up to the Vadachi.
Well, ideally a sturdy, something that doesn't spoil quickly, and that is easy to transport. We kept our ship mostly free of crew, so we have greater capacity, but this is still a very small ship.
Yes. Oh, okay.
So anything that is easier to transport. I don't want livestock that will die, let alone slaves. We can transport liquids, we can transport gunpowder, but I don't want anything that quickly spoils or is fragile. We are still comparably new to this.
Okay, something easy to transport and not alive. Um, very well. I will see what I can do when we get there. Are we open to being flexible if there are no contracts going for the Vadache that
For
fits?
that location was to give us something of an excuse to be in the region of the Spanish fort. So,
Yes.
like, if they catch us there, we can say at least that the winds drove us there. If we are going to the Bodacia region, if we are going somewhere to like Avalon, I cannot quite justify how did we end up with the Castilians. So yes, we can be flexible, but that may mean we have to drop the scouting mission.
Okay, I will see what I can do when I get there. But it is good to know. Um, for the scouting mission, do we have any concerns about? Because we are going to be leaving those men there for multiple days. Yes.
I assume they would be done with their scouting missions throughout the night, so we will just pick them up where we left them.
Oh, okay. There is
Maybe that is something that we need to discuss with Bowden, but yeah, my assumption is that they will be done in a couple hours.
Hmm. Okay, okay. There is a fairly small deserted island, kind of to the northwest of the fort. We could maybe anchor around the edge of it and keep our heads down. Maybe even go look around the island for a few hours while we wait.
Well, if it's going to be night, I'm not sure if we find anything, but we can certainly try it.
Of course.
It would be very beneficial if we can just set anchor in there and not at the island itself.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Okay, well, that is my concerns out of the way. Do you have any idea how long the journey will take?
I do believe we are now sailing west, so we have decent wind. Not too fast, could be faster, but I do believe we are there in a couple days at most. The journey backwards will be bad. That is going to take certainly more than a week.
Of course, and we are going further past our island as well.
Yes.
All right. Um, and he kind of touches his forelock, classic sailor saluting the captain, and kind of moves on. There's minimal activity running up and down the ship. It's a small ship, as you've said, but it is also fairly easy to manage, even with a lower number of crew. So one of the benefits.
Yeah,
Um,
particularly if we are going not against the wind. We are
yes,
chilling now.
yes. It's also reasonably faster. Like only taking 6 guns means that the weight's a little bit less, and you kind of, currently speaking, you're gliding through the water. And it has been pretty much plain sailing. Nothing too untoward. Been a couple of days of rain, which that's kind of nice sometimes when it's hot and sunny all the time. But yeah, aside from that, no real signs of a storm. Nothing, speaking to your knees or nothing on the horizon.
Yeah, if it's raining, then it's usually good habit to put out buckets to catch rainwater because
Yeah.
you always have to replenish drinking water if you can.
Oh, for sure. Um, And yeah, I would say within about a couple more days, you find yourselves mooring up at the western port of Keeler, along with quite a lot of other ships. I would say you're looking at essentially almost an island that is a settlement. It's reasonably large, but the main town spans a lot of the island, and the few bits that aren't town are like little kind of, call them like little outposts, like small groupings of huts and things, probably doing something along the lines of like either mining farming or even allowing animals to graze.
This is kind of a maybe stupid question, but for Don Jose, it might be kind of like a force of habit from his career. Do they have any fortifications when you sail inside? Do they have like big port guns aiming at water if an enemy ship wanted to sail in?
There are a couple dotted here and there, but they are fairly basic. They wouldn't stand up to the full might of the Castilians or the Avalonians. But they'd be enough to repel a couple of ships, trying to charge in and, take over or something like that. There's also a significant presence of correct me if I'm wrong here because I don't know the Western super well. I would say soldiers.
Yeah, the Vestins still have strong roots in raiding.
Yeah.
So we're talking about ship-to-ship combat as well as actual land infantry.
Yeah. And also a lot of the ships here, there's a fair few galleons, caravels. There's more galleys even. There's more transport style ships, but pretty much all ships go with at least a couple of guns. So with this kind of I'd say at your best guesstimation, you'd probably run for about 35 to 50 ships, just like docks.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
Huh.
because of how
Like I assume not all of them are flying Western flags. There are probably
Oh,
foreigners
no,
also trading.
So some of them aren't even flying country, a flag from a country. Like they're just flying their own colors. The trading company or whoever it is that owns the ship.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's a very light fee which we won't need to represent in game. To dock up. I don't know the actual sailing term, so I'm just saying dock up.
Yeah, I guess we
Do
will give
more
them.
up. Okay.
I guess we will give them the name of Gelpi and Captain Jose Fernando.
Yeah.
We don't give false names yet.
Yeah. There's no real
The
need
Lucky
to.
Lucine.
Yes.
Oh,
If
shit.
only I
Yeah,
could
my
drop
bad.
the Dockmaster. Oh well.
And the if generally speaking, if ever needed, you don't need to lie, but you actually I think at this point Mr. Fallen says Don Fernando, Captain, if you would allow me to have a quick word with the harbor master, I can get us all sorted and squared away.
Please do so.
Of course. And he kind of steps down the gangplank and goes over. You see his hands kind of like waving a little bit, and he kind of leans in and puts his arm around the harbor master, like gives him a pat like he's an old friend, and etc. And then he nods a few times and comes back and he says, "Okay, we are good for a couple of days to anchor here, and I have given him my details, but they will not be entered into the logs."
Ah, excellent. We don't have a crew to cause any mischief. I certainly do not intend to cause any mischief, at least for now. But it's a good habit. Thank you, sir.
Of course, and it means that obviously, if our crew or if anyone does cause trouble, they still have the name and everything, so it gives them a little security, but they feel comfortable enough not to, with a little how do you say, monetary lubrication. They feel comfortable not entering their names into their logs and so on. So I don't know how much the rest of you have to do, but I will, with your leave, Captain, I will go and talk around a couple of the trading houses and see what I can pick up. That isn't
Do you believe my presence would be beneficial to it? Like if the traders want to see the captain themselves or talk to them or like me as the captain, I am happy to accompany you.
I think it could help, but it is not necessary if you would like to see to the crew and to organize anything else while we are here.
The crew has now shore leave for now. Someone will have to see though to that we load new food and water supplies. But otherwise, I also do not have that many plans. I will just see what there is to be seen in this town. I don't have that much to do other than maybe increase our contacts with local merchants to pick up information.
Of course.
Where is a good place to sail through where there are no pirates, and on the other hand, where are patrols that prevent any pirating? So, where a responsible, respectable merchant should be, and where a disrespectable pirate should be poaching.
That sounds good. I in that case, could I suggest that you assign a couple of men to be prepared to drag all of our boys out of the taverns once we are ready to go.
Very good. Yeah, that is a good suggestion. Very well. I will see to that.
In that case, I will be on my way, and I will report back this evening to let you know what I have found.
So you don't need my presence. Very well. I will see to this side of the part. Let us meet in the evening.
Of course, Captain. And he touches his forelock and heads off down. As he starts walking down the docks, you see, there's a lot of bustle. You've managed to get here a bit after midday or so. So there's a lot of bustle, a lot of people. There's quite a few kind of stalls, those classic like wooden stalls with just like a little canvas over the top of it, people selling random crap. Some of it, is food, some of it's fish. Fish is food, cheapy.
Some of it's prepared food, and some of it's fish that you can prepare. There you go.
Can you tell that I don't like seafood? I'm like, some of it's food, some of it's fish. Fucking fish, get out of here.
Are some of the fish
Yeah.
poisonous? I mean,
Who knows? Possibly.
Yeah, do we have Bowden actually look, or do we have far lane instructions to pick up poisonous plants?
I have instructions to pick up poisonous plants.
Yes.
Nobody else does.
So that'll be on Brooks.
Yep. Which is the first thing Brooks has decided to do once hitting port, going and finding a herbalist.
So the general tradition on the ships before you guys became pirates was when you set to at a port and there wasn't too much for the crew to do and you're going to be staying for a day, maybe two, is shore leave, which basically means all of them immediately file out, go to the tavern, and get ridiculously drunk. Of course,
That is what I kind of expect.
Yeah. Of course, there are times when there are times when you need to leave earlier than you expected, or you just need to respond to something and head out of the port. Generally speaking, there's a couple of lads who are appointed, let's call them bully boys, due to the clubs they get, who are designated as, if there is a earlier need to leave or anything, they just basically go in and kick everyone's asses till they get back to the ship.
Ah, yes, the MPs.
Obviously, they are also allowed to do their own thing, but they're expected to not
Overindulge.
Overindulge, yeah. Generally speaking, it comes with a little bit of a bonus, but again. Seeing as Brooks has his own agenda for being here, you could probably just throw it on like Benini, Andres, or Franks, someone like that.
Yeah, if I have still Tiago or some other Castilians that join us, I will appoint them, unless we have someone already appointed from the previous crew who came with us.
Okay.
Because we only have soft crew, relatively small amount of crew. If nobody else does it, there is no not anyone on board that would normally do it, like they already have this function, then I will appoint someone. If possible, then I will appoint the Castilians, like just because if I know them.
It makes sense. Also, Tiago and the rest, Manuel, Pedro, Rodrigo, they are a little bit more disciplined, just purely because they,
Yeah, they are for military ship. Yeah.
yeah. They are. I will make note that they are enjoying being a bit more free and a bit less strict. But they do also have that discipline from their time recently in the military. Well, in the Navy. So, okay.
And yeah, I will also have to see to it that we still have like supplies to come back, which I think we loaded enough even to last us for the return trip, but I will still like try to restore it.
Yeah. In that case, what are you both? The crew's gonna go and do their own thing. I don't really think they have any objectives or anything, so they're just gonna get drunk and fuck around.
I might need them to load the supplies, but that is like half an hour work at most.
Yeah, they got that. They can even be a little bit drunk for it, probably.
Yep.
So, for Don Fernando and for Brooks, Mr. Brooks, what are you going to be doing?
So I suppose the immediate thing I'd end up doing is going to one of the random beggars who just looks like they're sitting there, asking them for the directions to the nearest herbalist, using those exact words. More knowing full well that they're going to point me in the direction of somebody unreputable rather than someone selling legal stuff.
Yeah.
At least that's the mentality.
Okay. I don't think there's anything like that around here that I can think of. And he like holds his hand out, like waving it.
Yep. Which of course Brooks immediately gives him a coin, knowing exactly what he's doing here.
And the beggar kind of like he's got that like really he looks like he should be a prisoner in one of those like medieval dungeons. He's got like the wispy hair and the bald top of the head and like with a long scraggly beard, and he like takes the coin and he licks it and then he like twists it a little bit in his hands and he goes, "Oh, herbalist, yes, I do know herbalist. It's amazing how memory comes and goes depending. If you just head down that road, there's a very nice herbalist, lovely young woman runs the place, and you find all types of things that you might be looking for."
Thank you, kind sir. Good watching.
So do come back again, and like it kind of just fades out as you walk down towards the herbalist. Immediately when you spot the herbalists, let's call it Misha's.
Mhm.
You get the vibe. The best way I can describe it is like, oh, this looks like such a great front for something that's possibly illegal.
Hey, I mean, she may sell actual herbs.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't a somebody selling poisonous plants also sell regular ones?
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're going to head in?
Of course.
When you head in, there's a lot of like kind of exotic and bizarre plants and clippings, and there's a big table with like pots and flowers and so forth. And there's even like a little work desk, with a mortar and pestle and some weird kind of like glass contraption type things and everything. And when you walk in, it is empty aside from you and the young lady behind. Well, let's say like young middle-aged. Like she's kind of in between there. Who is currently sitting behind the counter. Kind of looks up and and like clocks you and then stares for a couple more seconds and then like casually like looks down and just keeps. I would say as you look around a little bit, you do notice that every now and then she like sneaks a quick glance up, not in a like who is this person, but more in a like I'm just gonna make sure you don't nick anything.
After, having a brief look at some of the plants, I naturally walk up to the counter and, announce myself, I suppose. Hello there. I was hoping you could help me get over. Well, there's these 3 particular herbs. I'm not as familiar with them, but I was also after a few other things. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Ideally some mint, some parsley, some thyme, some coriander. I could do with some wolfsbane. And do you have any deadly nightshade or hawthorn by any chance?
And she she like stares at you for a second, and
At
then
which point a bag of coins come out of one of my pockets and gets put on the counter.
Oh, so you 1 second. What's the name of the capital of Avalon?
Londinium.
Londinium. So you're also from Londinium then?
Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally, I could do with an actual living plant of hawthorn. I know that's probably hard to get.
I mean, I don't think I have one in here with me.
That's fine.
I've got clippings, like everything you asked for there, aside from obviously a couple of pieces which I totally don't have, and I totally can't bag up for you in a very nondescript looking bag.
Of course.
Yeah,
I mean the mint that they're passing in the coriander would be great to actually have the proper plants of. Definitely help the
yeah,
cook.
but mint, coriander, all that, perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
Obviously, the other things, I fully appreciate. They are a little bit harder to come by, even if you just got the clippings, and no one needs to know about those exactly.
Well, no, I mean, obviously, those type of things I can't sell to you. You just give me the money, and I'll just give you everything in a bag. Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I can ask around and see if I can procure. What was it you needed? Plant wolf.
I give her the list of the 3 that I have that I could not,
Right.
for life of me, remember. So these 3, they're a bit of a special order.
Yeah.
These are kind of essential.
And you want plants of these, yeah?
The clippings will do. If you can get the plants, it's better. But
Right.
I'm not expecting it. Ideally, I'd love the plants of the normal ones. These 2. That's if you can get them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of these. I mean, I don't have these 3, and she points at the,
Yep.
I mean, I don't have plants of them,
Of course.
Um,
That I weren't expecting. It'd be great if you had one of plant of any of these 3. I point to the other 3 highly illegal ones.
right. Yeah. I mean, we don't have plants of those, obviously, because
of course.
I don't even have clippings of those. Like,
No, yeah, that's
clippings,
reasonable.
Yeah, those clippings, they're not going in the bag. They're not going into the bag. That will be
Of course.
nondescript and covered, and that I'll give to you after you give me the money. But I'll tell you, like, if you're thinking you're going to be back along this way in the next couple of weeks or so, I could maybe see about procuring something like that. But
I can take the clippings if you've got them. I don't need the plants. Exactly.
Right. We'll do the plants then. And like, if there are any kind of concoctions, kind of brews, anything like that you feel like you might find of use, like, technically speaking, this place, we just sell plants. It's a herbalist. It's for
Of course.
someone gets blocked up, a bit of constipation. You just drink something and shoots right through you. But also we do brew stuff here. So special orders, you know, enough money, you know, that kind
Naturally.
of thing. Yeah,
Naturally.
just, you know. So,
Oh.
for example, if you needed any of these things kind of brewed up into something, you could leave a bit of money here, come back later, pay off the full amount, and yeah, it would just it'd be ready by this evening, by this afternoon.
Oh, I'm assuming there's enough money in here, and I push the bag towards her.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
I'll be pop back this afternoon, and I'd love to see your handiwork. Oh, and if you can get me something that's designed to knock someone completely out cold. You know, I've been having terrible trouble sleeping lately. Definitely could do with something to render me unconscious. If you could come up with something like that, that'd be really handy.
Right.
Obviously, you're just herbalist, so
Yeah.
I
Just
appreciate the fact that
yeah. Are we talking like knocked out a couple of hours? We talking you need to sleep for a couple of days? Like, where are we going here?
Well, we'll go for a couple of hours. The couple of days might be a bit too extreme.
All right. Well, you never want to sleep too long. I know what you mean. All right. Well, I'll see what I can cook up for you then, and yeah, come back roundabouts this evening, and I'll have the concoctions ready for you, along with the clippings and everything.
Of course. Oh, one other thing. Don't suppose you know where I find someone who sell a spyglass? Weird question. I know that. This is something you genuinely asks.
Are you looking for like some proper good quality kind of, you know, captain, officer type spyglass? Or are you just looking for something that has a bit of glass in it?
Something a bit more discreet.
Right. I mean, it's a big bloody piece of glass in metal, right? Like, how discreet are we talking here?
Not made of gold and shiny things. Something black. Ideally, not going to be seen easily if I'm holding it up to look at something through it. Yeah, that kind of discreet.
Right. I mean, no offense to the lads who live, you know, to all the very, very big burly Western men who wander about here. I'm not gonna lie, they're not exactly the most subtle.
I noticed.
You're wanting something, you know, a bit more discreet, a bit more kind of, you know, hush and that. Like when we're talking like equipment, things like that. You're gonna want to find yourself a nice Fadachi lad, you know, a shop like that. Generally speaking, they don't really set up around here. You know, there's a bit of a disagreement, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, you might be able to find something. I don't know of it, but then again, being the upstanding citizen I am, you know, law abiding and all that, I don't really go out looking for that kind of thing. But you know, just
of course. Well, in that case, I'll leave you to your plants, and I'll see you a bit later.
You know what? You could try looking up on some of the stalls out in the main street and kind of the kind of main thoroughfare, as it were. Can never guarantee anything, but you never know what you pick up there, you know? So go have a look there. You might find what you're looking for.
Of course. Good day to you.
Have a good one. See you later.
He then proceeds to go to the market. God knows if he'll find what he's after.
Could you please tell me, without the need for code, what you're looking for?
So basically, he's looking for a very small kind of spyglass, similar to what you would have, as a captain, but just a lot smaller. So it's easier for him to carry around with him as he's infiltrating, so that way when he's having a look around the place he's got to scout, it's not going to get in the way.
Yeah, okay. So, this is...
Now, where's roll shopping? I don't see a shopping roll. Huh.
So, generally speaking, when you're in a place and you're looking for something specific that just doesn't, not necessarily guaranteed that you're going to find it, what we do is we do a D100 roll based on the place you're at. So, given that you were in a fairly large port, the hub for trade and everything, I am going to say you need to roll below a 70, so 69 and lower,
Okay.
on a D100.
Oh, let's allow, shall we?
Okay.
Hey!
After a little while of walking through and, you know, talking to a few of the merchants, the stalls set up and everything, you actually end up finding quite a suspiciously accented man, quite reasonably elderly. You can tell that he's trying to like make his accent even more like ridiculous, so it's hard to tell where he's from. But the general gist of what you get is there's no way he's possibly a Vadachi.
Cool.
But yes, you do manage to procure a lovely nice. The only problem with it is it is brass.
Mm.
It's not shiny, but you may want to spend some time like either with some charcoal or something like that, just kind of like
Taking the shine away from it.
yeah, just kind of covering it a bit, dusting it up maybe.
Reminds me of what I had to do with my dagger. Oh well.
Even still, it's not it's not something that that will like shine overly. Brass isn't exactly the most shiny of metals. So, even without doing that, you should be mostly fine as long as you're not, you know, like trying to sneak past a whole load of people or something.
No.
Okay. Don Fernando.
See.
Do you have anything that you'd like to kind of do highlight in this town?
That's not really that much worth of a highlight, but I will take a look if there is any kind of what you would call a library or a bookshop. This is really just for scholarship studies, if there are some nice books to be bought.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few it's not you find a kind of let's call it like a almost like a, I guess, government library. Not really, but you know, it's a bit
Yeah.
more official. And there is also a up and down the main thoroughfare. You do have a bookshop or two, just kind of mostly. I think one of them is majorly a cartographer, but it has some books with it as well, probably under the auspices of, well, if they can read a map, they might be able to read a book. So you know.
On the other hand, now I realized Don Jose probably doesn't speak Western. He could probably manage whatever is Latin.
There, we all have two languages. We have
Yeah,
our
right, the common.
primary name and the Old Thayan.
And yeah, also a fair number of the books are sagas and poems and etc. Much more in line with the Western stuff as opposed to maybe.
Yeah, I was looking for some logic or natural philosophy or that sort of stuff.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Those of you who've read into the Western, I don't think they're particularly philosophic or.
Actually, we're incredibly philosophic. There was a great enlightening during. So it's like the history of Scandinavia, sheepy. Around this time, we're going through a great enlightening. Like we have like 90% literacy rate among our people. The nobles and the royalty are really pushing enlightenment to the people because they see it as the future. We're switching from melee combat to musketry. Like there's a whole changing of society happening.
Okay. In that case, it sounds fairly likely to me that and the kind of like call it common language or whatever would be Old Thayan.
Mhm.
It makes sense to me that there would be books along the lines of that in like translated into Old Thayan from prominent Western thinkers and philosophizers and officials, etc. So, yes, if you would like to procure a couple of books, I would say feel free to. I don't think you need to roll on this one.
Yeah, I also don't expect them to have any like in-game impact.
I mean, you never know. Might work out that way. For now, I will say that they are, call it fairly official writings, along the lines of philosophy. Could be tactics, could be, the evolution.
Anything sail. It can be also anything weather and sailing related or geography
Yeah.
of this local place.
Yeah. So in the future, if there is something you want to kind of, read up on or find out more about, we can get into a little, discussion about what exactly those books are, and you might get a little benefit from it. Okay. As the day progresses, we're going to slide across the sea, over to the island and see what Mr. Gilligan and Mr. Bowden are doing.
Yeah, we've decided to drown Tristan in the. Never mind.
Ah, shite.
I think Tristan is good enough drinker to just drink the ocean.
My God. It turns out we've actually found a Leviathan. Anyway, I can't speak for what Mr. Gilligan's doing.
Yeah. Bowden, why don't you go first?
I think I'll take this time since I don't have anything pressing I have to do right now to try to train up a boarding party.
Okay.
Try to train up some people for more of a melee fight. For, make a specialized team, basically.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that we had a sharpshooter called Aki.
Yeah.
Oh god.
In that case,
Specializes in acupuncture at precision distances.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say, oh, you know what? We could probably get a roll in here, couldn't we? Let's have a look here.
Roll drill sergeant.
Roll drill sergeant.
So Academy has you studying military, so that's probably, yeah. So let's go for, these will have two different kind of effects, I guess, depending on how you'd like to train them. Either a brawn. Let's have a look here. I think either a brawn perform or a wits scholarship. Oh, apologies. Or a brawn warfare.
When will I ever actually get to use warfare? I'll try brawn warfare.
Okay. Oh, and you get a bonus for your academy training, because that will obviously...
Okay. Alright. 26.
Not bad. I would say that and feel free to flourish on what exactly the training you do is. But I would say they're getting better at working together as a team. And you feel quite confident that while they may not be proficient at necessarily the specific action of boarding and, you know, like carving out an area for more people to flow onto the ship and to spread out from there, at the very least, with them working well together in a melee, they will be adaptable to situations. So what that essentially means is they're not necessarily going to be amazing at the specific boarding, but they're getting, and they are getting a little bit better at that. But the outcome is much more them bonding as a unit and being able to play off each other better. So the cohesion is better there, you know?
I will say Bowden is probably a harsher instructor,
Yeah.
simply because he is a warrior by nature. So when it comes to running drills and stuff like that, there's probably a lot of like corporal punishment if someone does something either stupid, wrong, or they're probably like if he's in a one-on-one duel and someone messes up and leaves a massive opening, he's probably not going to hold back and hit them with the half to the of his axe, basically,
Okay.
like the wooden bit.
Yeah. So
So there's probably a couple people who drop out simply because they've been brutalized.
yeah, they go report to the medic barn place. A few people laid up with like extra big welts or possibly like some sprains or something. Maybe even a broken wrist. Mr. Gilligan.
Right.
What's on the docket
So,
today?
I don't have the knowledge to create a sewer system. Unfortunate.
You know, give it time and workers
Yeah.
and etc. You might be able to get there.
I'm sure you can get an aqueduct.
Maybe that's what one of Don Fernando's books is about.
So we've salvaged the ship as much as we can.
Yeah.
No, mostly we just dragged it out of the water. They
Yeah,
still need to
but
like empty it from all the sea garbage that was inside and replace
yeah. So that's something I could do. Has the smokehouse been finished? Jaeger was on that.
I believe it was, yes.
Okay. Basement cooler we can't actually do without ice. Butchery area, treasury, don't need it yet. Apiary, we need bees. Bunkhouse / apartments, I could do that. I'm gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay.
I'm going to do clearing farmland. So that's going to be cutting down trees and increasing our wood reserves.
Okay.
And how long is this process taking? Because I will take a day to go up here and hang out and maybe climb this area a little bit.
Okay.
Like it'll be like they said they're going to be gone for at least a week, so
Yeah.
like on a Saturday I will hike up here and camp out and climb here, and I'll come back like the next month. I'll be back to camp by Monday.
Yeah. No, honestly, like the with a week and the fact that they didn't take that many crew with them, you still got quite a lot of people around with you. So it's reasonably easy to corral a fair number of people to help. Like, very doable in a week, clearing the trees at least, and starting to till the land. I'd say within the period of time, it may even be longer than a week, but within the period of time where they're gone, it's enough for you to be ready to start planting at the very least. even if you do take an afternoon off to wander up to Longham's Fall and to the caves and everything.
Yeah, it's just to camp by the lake, swim around, and we haven't found this cave yet, have we?
No, I believe it's just like some you know, little hills and
Yeah, we have hills, so I miss my homeland a little bit. It's mountainous, it's hilly, so I'd probably like go hiking up among the hills.
Okay.
But yeah, it would just be dealing with food production, and then if they needed like an extra hand with the building. So I don't want to build bunkhouses. I want to build apartments.
Okay.
Because with an apartment you have a space to yourself. You're just sharing a building. With a bunkhouse, you have to share the entire space.
Yeah. So partitioned bunkhouse, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, if you're building like up high, it could be fairly rough.
Mm-hmm.
Just because storms and tropical rains and all that nonsense.
Yeah, I mean maybe we make like a 2-story building, but nothing like
Yeah.
massive.
Okay. All right. First question.
But that's for next week. Like
Yeah.
once we've gotten a lot of wood reserves, then we're gonna go into building apartments. Air quotes apartments.
All right. Let's figure out the wood situation first.
Mm-hmm.
So will you be? So your rolling will be
Yeah.
brawn athletics if you're going off your own, off your own steam, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would say wits, convince, panache.
Could I
Panache
could
convince.
I could I do brawn weaponry since it's wielding an axe to chop down trees?
I'm torn on that one because it kind of makes sense, but also when I hear weaponry, I think like fighting as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm okay with it, yes, but I may.
Prepare to conquer the tree.
So the thing is, I would actually like to do brawn convince.
Okay.
Let me explain why I want brawn convince.
Yeah.
Because I'm leading them, but I'm also convincing them to help me. So it's not me just telling them, "Hey, go chop down trees." It's me being like, "Hey, come with me, and we can chop down trees and clear this land together."
I think that's fair and that makes sense. So
How exactly are you using brawn to convince other than punching someone?
well, so the brawn is leading via cutting down a whole load of trees.
Oh, okay.
Leading by example.
Yeah. But the convince is also part of it, so it does make sense. I do like that. Yes. You have my blessing.
Okay. I have the Lyceum, which says when making a risk roll, which is what we're doing right now, using convince, intimidate, or tempt, all of your dice gain +1 to their value. So that doesn't mean I get a plus dice. I get plus to whatever the value of the dice is, correct? I'm reading that right?
Yes, but you aren't like convincing them via words.
Okay, that's fair.
In this instance. I would say Silver Tongue probably gives you a bonus dice.
Okay.
Even though you're not like, so you're not
Starting new business.
The difference is in Lyceum you're kind of entering a debate or kind of like
Yeah.
Silver Tongue is just like, hey, come help me, and they're like, oh, all right, you're a nice guy.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Cancel. Penalty. No penalty. Bonus. 1 bonus dice. That
Ooh.
is a 30, and I have a 3 in convince, so I'm going to re-roll one of those ones.
Alrighty.
I mean, if
Damn.
you're gonna re-roll a 1, may as well re-roll it into a 10.
Yeah, just put a
Yeah.
It's a
0 behind
39.
it.
Yeah, so that's 39.
Plus,
Yeah.
what is that? 7 dice, so 39 plus 7.
Okay.
Well, does he get the plus one?
Oh, that's if he gets plus 1. Sorry.
No, we said the Lyceum doesn't work for that, but the Silver Tongue did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do for the farmland is kind of a little bit similar to the sheep pen.
Yeah.
Instead, we are going to say the numbers will represent, let's call it like a row of crop. So I think starting out 10 makes sense to me.
Okay.
Given this roll, which is pretty good. So you have plantable farmland of 10. And what that will essentially represent is the ability to plant a row of crop that will be harvested for a decent portion of supplies. Let's call it the equivalent of 0.1 month's food supplies.
Okay. So 1 row is 0.1 month's food supply. So if we get 30 rows, that's 1 month food supply.
No. So the way the point works is I can't remember how I initially like wrote it down. I think
So we would need 100 rows for 1 month's.
No, so you would need 4 rows for 1 month.
So then 1 row is 0.25 months food supply.
No.
It's a fourth of the month's food supply if 1 row is, if you get 4 rows, you get 1 month's food supply. That means 1 row is a fourth of a month's food supply.
Okay, so 1 row is a week.
Okay.
Or the equivalent of a week.
So it's about a quarter of the month, right? Ish.
Obviously, it takes a while to
you get up and running.
Yeah.
Produce. And would Gilligan know about crop rotation?
I would say possibly not, but I think that there would be people here who would.
Okay.
So shared knowledge would be acceptable here.
So we're also going to plan on setting up like a crop rotation, so we don't overuse the soil.
We can have the sheep grazing one of the fields we're not using.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always
Make one of the fields clover.
I can't remember what the name of that anime is. There's an anime where they go into clover fields. All right. So you can designate for crops 3 rows of XYZ, and then it will be, I would say, like there's probably some food types and stuff that may yield a little bit more. We may also even go into farming roles and stuff for when it's time to harvest. Maybe you get a buffer or extra or whatever. But that's the basics of it. So feel free to note down 0 out of 10 plantable plantable rows.
There we go.
And also, obviously, the guidelines is for food, but you can also plant other things there too if you get the seeds for them and so forth.
I will not be planting an entire row of nightshade.
So Gilligan learned about a wondrous food that the Avalonians had called potatoes.
Yes.
So we need to either raid an Avalonian food convoy or go to an Avalonian port to buy potatoes, because there's at least going to be 3 of those rows are going to be potatoes. I don't care. I'll fight all of you.
You could probably manage to pick it up somewhere else as well, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
Stolen potatoes taste better.
oh, that's true.
True. We gotta just steal from Avalon all the potatoes.
But yeah, obviously, you'll be able to plant other things. If you want to start growing, whatever else might take your fancy, might be needed.
Mhm.
If someone says, "Oh, I want to start farming poppies," I'm gonna be like, "All right, just calm down."
I mean,
Damn it!
I mean, I think we're gonna want to start farming all of the new crops that we've heard about, like
Yeah.
the corn, the tomatoes, especially since we have Vodachi.
Yeah.
Y'all need to make pizza soon. Thank you.
But yeah, essentially, this is for full-on farming. If you have something, like say for example, you manage to procure some nightshade plants or something, you can also just have your own little, mini garden tending area, which will just be something that you can have as part of your house or whatever. That will, instead of having like over time you harvest it, it will be like, I have this thing and I want to make poison, so can I do that? And it's like, yeah, you've got the resources there, you've been harvesting them. We assume you've been harvesting them and preparing them, etc. So it means you don't have to keep up with like personal usage and tending to gardens and stuff. Well, you can always do a scene where you're tending to your garden and stuff, but it won't be needed mechanically,
Okay. Out of character.
Yes.
Do not plant that mint in the ground. Get yourself a flower pot.
Okay.
Mint is an incredibly invasive species, and it propagates like wildfire.
Okay. You may need to tell the cook this.
This is out of character knowledge. Gilligan doesn't know this.
So long as the cook knows this, because the normal eating plants, they're going towards the cook.
Yeah.
It'd be a case of, here you go, here's some plants I procured. Hopefully they'll help. I'm sure you can make some use of them. And then I'm going to go plant my own stuff completely separately, hidden away, so that no one gets the fun idea of trying some.
Yeah. Oh, I also have to add, obviously, if I'm at the island, I'm also taking care of the sheep.
Yes, that is assumed.
Yeah.
Along with Bowden and
Yeah.
some of the other Western. I'm just having a
It's
look.
whether you said the mint and not the hawthorn for the invasive species. Huh.
So, as someone who gardens that's a lie. As someone who kills herbs, mint's the only herb I keep alive. And the only reason I know it's incredibly invasive is because a friend who is really good at gardening is like, don't you ever dare plant that in the actual ground. And I'm like, why? And then they're like, yeah, this is the reason. I'm like, okay.
You got your trowel in your hand and you're just about to like put it in the earth.
Yeah.
You're like, why?
Why?
Sticks a gun to your back of your head. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out if anyone. You called Tristane the town drunk? How dare you?
Tristane is the town drunk. What are you talking about? I'm not the one who did it, but they're right.
I mean, that's not entirely wrong. I'm trying to figure out if anyone would. You know what? Yeah. Been trying to figure out if there are any like important interactions or anything that would happen. I think while you're after the wood has been cut down
Mm-hmm.
and after the wood has been cut down and you're starting to fallow to till the soil so it's nice and ready for farming, basically. One of the denizens of the island comes up to talk to you, and says, cucumbers.
Oh, do you have cucumbers to plant, Mr. Rowan?
Seeds.
Rowan said he wishes to spread his seeds.
What do I roll to understand what just happened?
Who knows? Eldritch Law?
I will point Sheepy to the advantage I just opened up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Does this count as one of these?
I mean, it doesn't talk about dialects.
It does not. No, it doesn't.
So, I have a fun little rule for Mumbles for Master Gunner Rowan.
I love him.
It will be a wits and scholarship. And it will be a very difficult role because I think that's fun, and I think we can all agree that's fun.
No, yeah, that's fair.
But with a modifier plus for every time you interact with him.
I've interacted with him 3 times at this point.
So you get +3 to your roll.
Hell yeah. Wait, +3 or +3 dice? Because I did +3 dice.
Oh, just +3. So you roll,
okay.
you roll your dice and then...
Let me re-roll then.
Yeah.
28.
So 28.
Does everyone want to see what Voden's Wit Scholarship is?
Sure.
Is it?
Oh, 18 plus. How many times have you interacted with Mumbles?
This would only be my second time, to be honest.
Okay,
I'm
so
around.
20?
I'm helping a lot of fields, but...
Yeah. 20 isn't bad. I feel like Mr. Gilligan will slowly become the translator for Mumbles, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay, add a character. I am gonna have to interact with him as much as possible, not only to get those pluses, but because I love him.
Yeah, if you've seen Hot Fuzz, you're gonna be one of the translators.
Yeah. I love that scene in Hot Fuzz where they're like, "Brr, brr, brr," and then they look to the other guy and he's like, "Oh, this for this one," and then it goes to the other guy and he's like, "Oh, just this one." Yeah.
So Bowden, you're fairly sure that Mumbles wants to do some sort of occult ritual with cucumbers?
Is he trying to shove them up his ass?
It's unclear exactly what the ritual is, but it's definitely a dark magic ritual. However, Mr. Gilligan, you're fairly sure that he's asking. Well, fairly sure. it's something to do with cucumbers. You think he either knows a place to get seeds for cucumbers, or he's
Okay.
asking you to plant cucumbers because he likes cucumbers, or he
So-
thinks his name is Cucumber.
No, we know it. We know his name's not. Actually, we don't know his first. Wait, is Rowan his first name or last name?
Honestly, he's been on the ship and he was serving with Captain Longham probably the longest. You're not even sure his name is Rowan. That's just what the captain called him.
Fuck. Did,
Never one of
did-
those characters.
Okay. Did the ship's logs survive? Did the Kelpie's logs survive the sinking?
Yes.
Okay, I know what I'm gonna do later. It's gonna be like, the name is actually blacked out in blood. Oh no. Okay. Well, Mr. Rowan, do you prefer cucumbers to be brined and turned into pickles, or do you just prefer them to be eaten fresh?
Gone with the heart, and I need the pickles.
I agree.
No, I don't
Pickles are
even think
great.
that was mumbling. I think that was backward speech.
Yeah, that was absolutely back. That wasn't mumbling,
Yep,
Chiefy.
slurp, slurp.
Yerga-durga-dinga.
Sorry. Let
Not-
me retake that.
Well, we will have to do half the crop, pickle half the crop, as it will make the crop last longer.
Yeah,
And we will procure seeds, as I will put it on the list. I am partial to these potatoes I've heard about.
Our bark, and then he scuttles off to his like domicile, and like shuffles back towards you with a bag. It's literally like a tiny little sack,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
looks like it has something in, and like holds it out towards you and says, "Seed."
I look in.
Uh-huh.
What's in the bag?
Seeds.
Shit. Okay, we're gonna plant the seeds. How many rows do these seeds take up?
Let's say one.
Yeah. Okay. We we
Damn,
plant one row of possibly cucumbers.
just put cucumbers with a question mark.
I'm gonna do cucumbers / potatoes ? Yeah, it's not potatoes. Potatoes get no.
You don't get the seeds like that for potatoes.
Yeah, you don't get the seeds like that for potatoes. So probably cucumbers.
You're all gonna be massively surprised when potatoes grow out of them, though.
How
Yeah.
big are these seeds?
Question mark cucumbers ?
can't-
mark.
I can't wait for the cucumbers to actually turn out to be deadly nightshade.
Yeah, one row of cucumbers. Probably.
It was me all along, Austin.
Urgents.
And
Okay.
as we finish planting, I will look at Bowden. That was certainly a informative conversation, and I will not elaborate.
Bowden does the sign against evil.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you guys. Due to the nature of Rowan, which might be his name, and Mumbles, I know very little about him as a GM because
Mhm.
that's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if his name is Rowan because that just
Yeah.
adds to the mystique of Mumbles himself.
Yeah.
Would you like me to know what those seeds are, or would you like it to be literally fucking random when we get down to harvesting it or finding out what they are?
Okay, I want half of them to actually be cucumbers.
Okay.
and I want the other half to be random, and he just assumes they're all cucumbers.
Okay.
God,
I'm all right with this idea.
Okay.
this could work out beautifully.
This could either work out beautifully or it could cripple us.
You get some cucumbers, you get some tomatoes, you get some chili peppers, you get some berries. No idea what
Bro,
the
if
berries
we
are.
oh man, if we get fucking chili peppers, we're all white Europeans. We can't handle that shit. We're gonna die. Like,
Hell yeah.
First recorded pirate deaths to capsaicin.
I don't know what would be worse, peppers or berries.
So
no, if we get fed chili peppers, I'm gonna think Brooks poisoned our ass, and we're gonna try to kill Brooks.
that's fair. So as we begin to leave the island, from perspective, obviously not you. You guys aren't leaving the island.
Yeah.
Ever. It's lost time.
Oh no. Better
Uh,
than fucking From.
Yeah. Well, no, it's worse than from. The picture I leave you with, the scene I leave you with, is with strangely a very nice little settlement that's slowly building and slowly becoming larger and more established. The sun setting, giving a nice little pink swath across the clouds as it slowly heads down the horizon. The sea quietly lapping against the beach as multiple, well, pirates just relax, drink. There's probably, as the camera sweeps across the beach, there's just face down, almost buried in the sand, with his arse pointing in the sky, is a very drunk Tristane, who's just kind of mumbling in Innismore to himself happily.
If I'm anywhere near Tristane, I'm kicking him in the ass as hard as I can.
He's drunk enough. He won't.
Yeah, that's fair.
He won't notice. And yeah, surprisingly, at times like this especially, you forget that you are slowly built. Well, an observer would forget that you're slowly building a pirate haven, which is going to rush out with ships and steal and maim and murder and everything else. It's nice, it's calm, and it's quite serene. If it
With a slightly full hospital. Slash.
a little bit full. If it works for you, Captain Fernando, we could probably rejoin you on your trip, getting close to the Castilian fort.
Yeah, this is fine by me. Although I would at least want to ask, what are we transporting and where are we transporting?
So you did manage to get a contract to transport. It is mostly I'm trying to decide if it would be essentially like rum, kind of barrels of rum, etc. I think
Could be wine, reinforced wine.
I
Because
mean,
you make rum from like sugarcane and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's a new world
yeah,
alcohol.
I'm more thinking as to whether they would give an initial contract to someone they hadn't worked before with alcohol, just purely because there's a distinct possibility that a reasonably undisciplined crew might just drink it on the way there.
Could it be something simple like bricks?
Or potatoes?
Oh fuck! You gotta steal at least 1 sack of those potatoes. You don't, but like, potato wants you to steal at least 1 sack of those
A
potatoes.
sack goes missing on the voyage.
Oh, you know what? Because this could be interesting.
Oh god, no.
It is a consignment in crates and etc. of pottery, a few statues and so forth. Like
art pieces. Okay.
not exactly like a couple of art pieces. Mostly it's kind of and mostly it's kind of like container pottery, you know, like big jugs that can hold
I see.
grain and things like that.
Okay. Be on the lookout for Link.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't get that joke to begin with. I'm not happy.
Yeah,
that
that's
I did.
good.
So just purely because you are transporting reasonably fragile goods, could you please roll me a D100? Now, the requirement to pass is pretty high. Because it is not currently storm season, and it's very, very unlikely you'll run into one, but you never know.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
I think this is a failure.
Well, so...
No. That's
That's
the
the
God
opposite of a
Emperor.
failure.
That's the God Emperor is
Yes.
reaching down and helping us.
That
We've
is,
somehow made incredible time.
We even brought more posts than we picked up.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know how, they just doubled the pots. No,
They logged out on the server and came back accidentally duping.
yeah. Essentially, what this means is you get just enough wind to go as fast as you want, but it is in no way a rough trip. So it is just a good wind that sends you off screaming, although there probably isn't much screaming, but heading towards the Castilian fort. And I'd
Yeah,
say...
I'm looking like we should be facing westerly wind. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Oh,
You just see a couple of the blokes under the deck doing some kind of seance.
Turns out magic is in fact real.
Who knew?
We figured it out.
Yeah, agreeing to plant those cucumbers is already paying off.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
occult rituals.
Turns out that Mumbles is actually a chthonic god.
Awesome.
You know, that could mean those extra sheets could be great, or the most horrific thing to ever been planted.
Hey,
Oh,
you will
well.
roll D100 after they start blossoming.
Turns out they're all mint.
No! That will kill the cucumbers. Like, I'm trying to stress this enough. Mint is a bastard of a plant.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
So as you know, this is a bit more chill than needs to be chill. Let's go a little bit more. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, not that one. Oh, this one will work. So you sight the Castilian fort. A small amount of activity. There's a couple of, I would say, like, call them patrol ships, but they're just sloops. You know, they're just small little ships that are basically not much use in a fight, not much of a threat, even for, I believe you guys are in a catch, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But still only like limited crew and limited guns.
Yeah. Obviously, you're not looking to fight them, but a couple of sloops aren't really too much of a deal. And you can see like their activity. I'm assuming you don't really want to get close enough to either be noticed, but get a decent gander, seeing as you're essentially sending some people in to get a gander themselves.
Yeah.
So you tack away, take a little bit of a looping pathway, trying to avoid A being too suspicious, and B just trying to avoid any patrols or whatever that might be wandering around. And manage to, I was gonna say park up, but I'm like, that's not very shippy. You manage to lay anchor on a reasonably small island, which is just a little bit kind of to the north, a little bit to the west of the fort. A little bit of a scull away, but should be able to get there and back reasonably easily. Pretty much, I'd say, just as maybe like an hour before it starts to lose daylight. The sun starts to go down, and oh wait, there it is. Yep, there it is. And Mr. Fallen steps on deck and says, Captain Fernando, I was hoping to have gotten here earlier. It's not too much of a problem, but I feel like, given we will not be here for that long, and given the nature of why we are here, I feel like it is best just to stay on the ship and not explore the island, unless, of course, you have other ideas and plans. But
If it is like dark outside, I have no interest in going on the island.
Yeah. He kind of looks out at the island as well. It's reasonably small.
I don't see why would I want anything from the island, not to be rude.
Yeah, there's not much there really. And it seems that Mr. Fallen's thoughts are pretty much along the same lines. So he says, in that case, as I assume I am not needed for now, I may just go and bunk down for the rest of the night.
Yeah, sure. Good night.
Good
Of course,
night.
the paranoid mind in me will ask someone on the night watch check if he doesn't actually scuttle away somewhere.
Okay. And he says, good night, Captain, and heads into his quarters.
I mean, if Fernando has to take the first watch, then he probably will. Sometimes shit just falls that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will just assign watches, and otherwise I will also just retire to the bunk and sleep or read or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, if I actually manage to snag new books, then I will take a look.
I suppose it's at this time that the infiltration crew are probably waking up.
Yeah. All right. I'm up.
Well, hopefully it'll be dark enough by the time we get there.
I mean, sun's still a little bit up, but I think by the time we row out that way, then it'll be dark enough. Yeah.
Berto, Mercurio, get up.
Hey,
It's time to move.
I'm coming. And they kind of once they knock the little dust of sleep off themselves, fairly quickly, they start procuring their gear, rechecking that they have what they need. You get the I want to say professionals, but that implies a certain decorum and, etc. Professionals in the sense of what they are currently doing, they are very used to.
Cool.
So, obviously...
Okay, take one of these. I pass him one of my things. One of my... I forgot the name of it. One of the dysentery potions. We'll go for that, but until I can figure out what the hell that.
Yeah.
If you get the opportunity to put this in their food supply, go for it. Do not drink the stuff.
All right. What is it?
It will cause very, very upset stomachs.
Oh.
You know, always fun to have a laugh.
Yeah, sure. Not a problem. I'll store it away. And Frank says, so, what's the word from the bosses? What are we doing? Are we?
Well, strictly speaking, this is information gathering.
Right.
We ain't supposed to kill people, or at least we're supposed to try to avoid it. We're not supposed to take stuff. At least, you know, we shouldn't go out of our way to take stuff. Yeah. If we just so happen to come across stuff that is easily taken and people won't miss, who's to complain? But main thing, we're going in, find out what they got, get out. Don't get seen.
Sounds pretty simple.
I know, boring as hell. But yeah, I've been told that we have to try to avoid killing people. I know. More's the pity.
Well, if it turns out that there are things we can, vulnerabilities we can see and etc., then we can come back later and take.
Who knows? Maybe one of the guards will just accidentally fall over the wall into the ocean.
These things happen.
I mean, after all, the accidents happen all the time at these kind of places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people get sick. Yeah, things go missing. Who's to blame?
Usually us.
We best get moving before they start wondering where we are.
Alright. Make sure, lads, that you knock off any shine that you got about you, and anything that jangles, you know the drill. And the other two kind of like nodding along. And Franks looks up at you and says, alright, I think the lads are ready.
Well, I hope your iron arm's still good.
As good as ever.
And they start heading out towards the boat.
Okay. You head out, get in the rowboat, classic classic little paddler, as it were.
And obviously I take the opportunity to have a quick look at the fort from where we are with my small spyglass just to see is there a decent entry point for us. Somewhere where we can kind of attach the boat to without being seen.
You'll probably have to land a little ways east of the fort. The good news is that while there is some activity and some soldiers, marines, etc., there are also a number of points where you can enter, just purely because they haven't managed to put up the walls yet. Who knows why?
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't have enough materials to actually, or tools to actually get properly set up. Yeah, no, essentially, given everything, I don't think I require a roll to land sneakily. Unless you literally want to slip in from the sea, in which case there may need to be a roll there, just purely because that's going to be a little more difficult than.
If we don't need to, we ain't gonna.
All right. The surrounding area is a little bit cut back, but again, there are instances of like undergrowth and trees and etc. As even encroaching into the fort, just purely because they haven't had the time to or the tools to like cut the tree line back and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, you know what, we will have a roll on this. It's not really a succeed, don't succeed. It's more of a getting the lay of the land, as it were.
Okay.
So let's go for a finesse and hide, please.
Finesse, hide.
Um,
Do you want me to take any bonuses or minuses?
just having a look here at your advantages and everything.
I don't suppose the spyglass gives me an advantage.
Not in this instance, because it's more you.
That makes sense.
Once you get to the position, you'll be able to see a lot. It's just what position you get to. I would say, I would be happy for you to have a bonus dice for assassin, your background.
Okay.
It makes sense, and I would say also, I don't feel like Streetwise would work here.
We are not in streets.
Yeah. However, I do feel like you should get a bonus dice for over here, because while it is a specific thing to like lure people away, I think situationally it could be very it's very it's a good utility for sneaking. Like, you know, if you have a guard coming in your direction, you can throw something and it'd be like, oh, go over there. So 2 bonus dice.
So penalties, bonus +2. And let's have a laugh. Nope. Error with formula. Bear with me.
Okay.
That was finesse notice, wasn't it? No, wait, finesse hide.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why, because I put a plus.
Okay.
Not terrible.
Not terrible.
The 3 2s does not help me.
Nice,
I have all those dice and I get 26.
How many do you have in hide?
I have 2 in
2,
hide.
I believe.
I have 3 in finesse.
Damn.
Yep.
So you spot a couple of like really likely places in terms of like a really good overview. You know, there's like a little lookout tower type thing that's clearly in the process of being brought back down. Probably they put it up there originally to keep lookout, and they're just not using it anymore because they don't need to. However, there are a reasonable number of patrols with enough frequency that you're not confident enough that you can get in, take a look at the lay of the land, and get out without being noticed and everything. The most important thing being to stay undercover. They whoever is in charge of the guards and etc. here clearly has a decent understanding of like which tactical strategic areas to keep covered in terms of in defense and etc. So they have patrols doing those. You actually end up in a tree line on a small rise that kind of overlooks the fort, kind of overlooks the shoreline area that they're at. Enough to see that the sea portion, the sea direction, so we're talking kind of out to the east, is reasonably built up. The wall, the cannon, the watchtowers are not necessarily finished, but decently
Well furnished.
decently worked on. it would not be impossible to assault from the east. It would just be more tricky. Even though there are a few patrols out towards the island direction, it is definitely less defended. It is definitely less looked at, if that makes sense, and it's also easier just because you can land, you can walk through the jungle, the trees, and kind of almost come out inside the fort via that method. Whereas if you come by sea, you'll be noticed, and they do actually have guns trained and some defenses, walls, etc. So in terms of like, if you were to go at this fort, you quickly pick up that the best way would be not to assault it from the sea. Possibly from the sea, like maybe from the north or the south, like it's a bit less defended there, a bit less built up so far. But it'd be a lot easier to just land a raiding party and kind of go in that way. In terms of the troops, the soldiers, etc., it looks like there are a good, probably work crew of about 30 to 50 people. Hard to tell exactly because it seems like most of them are asleep or either, heading to sleep.
Okay.
The soldiers seem to be about 20, 25 of them, with the not including the crews of the couple of ships, which probably amounts to somewhere around 50, 60.
So not impossible to take the whole thing, but definitely impossible to keep it.
I mean, yeah,
The ships would disappear and come back with a lot more people.
yeah. The ships are now moored on the north and south eastern side of the island, and the fort. I would say there is an obvious warehouse, or an obvious couple of warehouses where you've seen people going back and forward, and I would say essentially, you know what? Let's grab another roll from you just for tactics and whatnot. Could you give me a wits and warfare, please, or wits and scholarship?
Okay, they're just going to be as bad as each other. Any minuses or positives I should know about with this?
I don't think so.
Cool. Straight it is, and I'm not expecting much. Oh, I got a 10 at least.
You got 3 less than your other roll.
Yep.
With
half the dice.
More than half, less than half the dice. Yeah.
Yep.
That's just how rolls go. Okay. Yeah. I am taking into account the fact that you have done skullduggery before, but it wasn't represented by a roll or anything. Just like something I took note of.
Cool.
So, your preference would be probably coming in under cover of darkness before they've managed to to build up and close off the fort, and just nicking some shit from the storehouses. However, there are a few other viable options. If it is something of interest, you could maybe cause a distraction, or maybe take everyone out of action, put everyone to sleep or put something in their drinks or whatever, or just wait for them to fall asleep. You might be able to make off with one of the ships, possibly 2 of the ships, depending. They're not amazingly guarded. They have a couple of like skeleton guards, who swap out shifts and stuff. You can see it would be you can also tell because they tend to carry friggin' torches around while they're guarding it. But it would essentially be a case of knocking a couple of people out, or stabbing them up, whatever, and then just jumping on the ships and sailing away before they have a chance to react, because everyone would be asleep or unconscious. It's viable. Whether it's worth it to do with the Castilians and taking a couple of their sloops, difficult to say. They are sloops, they're not like super important, but it would also be nicking some Castilian navy ships in an area where they probably want to be using them. So is there any other like bits and pieces that you'd like to observe or know?
I mean, the only other main things I was looking for is the galley, in terms of where they keep all the food or the drink, and ideally a powder room. And I don't mean where people put makeup on.
Yeah.
I mean where they store gunpowder.
Yeah. Both of those. The powder room it seems to be some form of like rudimentary dug cellar.
Smart move.
Yeah. It both the warehouse and the call it food galley, are along with the cellar are all fairly central in the fort. Probably put together there temporarily just for the sake of guarding and safety.
Cool.
Bit more and bit better defended than the ships, just purely because they're central. For the ships, they have to wander a little ways away, and
Okay, good. They're not going to accidentally destroy the powder room if they attack the place.
Yeah.
Great.
I would say, interestingly, it's a little more difficult than you'd hope or expect for the supplies and the food and the powder room, just purely because this place isn't built up yet. They're keeping all the supplies and everything central in like temporary storage until everything else is built.
Right. Well, that's good to know. I suppose the question is whether or not we move in closer for a closer looks on anything. Right.
It's viable. It would I would say you off your roll, you don't get the impression that there's much else to discover or see. I think would be the best way to say it. It's all pretty much out in the open. It's pretty simplistic. It isn't heavily built up or anything. It's very much a planned fort. It is not on its way to a settlement or anything, or a port or anything yet.
Okay.
So it really comes down to whether I'd say the most important part would be if you are heading down there, the only reason to really would be to nick something.
I mean, Brooks is probably looking for a couple of the guards that are off to one of the sides, solely because it's been a while since he's had to kill somebody and he is itching for it. But whether or not he does is a different matter. Yeah.
You got 2 red shirts right there.
I can't kill my own men. I mean, technically I could. But is there any, shall we say, interesting targets that I am drawn towards?
Honestly, they're all pretty much bog standard army or navy guards. Which, you could probably do a disappearing of them. I guess the question I would ask is, like, how willing are you to put them all alert? Like, even if someone just goes missing, right? That's like, they may just figure that they've deserted or something. But the question would be, how? Like,
Yeah.
They just went for a swim and decided, fuck it, I'll just swim back to Castile. So yeah, I'd say there is opportunity out there. Every now and then, one of them going to take a leak, or just wandering off by themselves for a little bit, having a
Yeah.
walk.
I feel compelled to do the random kind of thing. As a percentage, how likely do you think it is that I'll find someone I'm tempted to go for?
We'd have to delve into Brooks a little bit here. A little bit here. Then, my question would be, like, how much does he want to just kill someone for no reason? And how much is he willing to risk putting the fort on higher alert, or like...
I'd say it's probably less likely at the minute.
Okay.
It is one of those things that's in the back of his mind. It's been a while since he's killed someone, and it's something which he's good at doing, he enjoys doing, and he's kind of annoyed that he hasn't had the opportunity for a while.
Okay, here's my question. Is it a psychopathic compulsion, or is it
Think of it like an itch that you have the compulsion to scratch, but you know you shouldn't.
Okay.
Oh no.
We're a crew of psychopaths.
Hey, I mean, it's very unlikely he's going to do anything crazy.
I'll tell you what.
So it's the old method of infiltration. If nobody is alive, nobody sees me.
Kind of.
We'll do it this way. As
Brooks would make a good Eversor. Anyway.
as Eversource.
Oof.
As you and the rest, the other three, are kind of like crouched, probably laid down even, in some foliage, etc. The minutes elongate. You just, you're looking, you're observing, trying to figure out, like, trying to get all the angles, trying to decide, and after a while, it goes on for longer than it may need to, as you start, like, observing the guards and their patrol routes, and that kind of not compulsion, but little itch comes to you. You feel a small kind of like soft nudge on your shoulder, which is Brooks, who just says, "Oi, Franks, you good?"
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you wanna have a sneak in there, like, see what there is to take and everything, right? That's one thing. I feel like we don't really know what there is to take. We've kind of already taken from the ship that was supposed to come here, right? So it's...
You got a good point. I'm guessing we've probably seen about as much as we can see here anyway. Reckon we should get back to the ship?
I mean, unless you've got more business here. I mean, what
Probably. Brooks probably starts looking at one of the guards that are off to, the side a bit.
I mean, look, I'm all for knife work, right? But I just don't see the benefit in this situation,
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, that's why you're here, isn't it? It's not me doing something too stupid. You best get going.
and his as you all turn and start to kind of crawl away slowly until the point where you're far enough away from the patrols from the lights to kind of pick yourselves up and start kind of crouch walking through the jungle, through the forest. You hear Franks say a little bit softly, just basically, well, that, and also to back you up when you do something stupid.
True.
We're I wouldn't worry about it overly, Brooks. We're gonna be doing a lot more fighting soon.
Yeah. Yeah. And the dagger, which has been removed ever so slightly from the sheath, is slowly but surely pushed back in.
And you skull back. Get back
Alright.
to the ship with no real incident or anything happening. Everyone is still asleep, so I would assume you make you give the lowdown to the captain in the morning.
Of course, I'm not going to wake him up for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I will, of course, take the opportunity to water the plants I've got, but
Yeah. In that case, Don Fernando, in the morning, as everyone is up and starting to, it's probably before it actually gets light, would be my guess. You kind of, everyone gets kicked up awake and starts seeing to the masts and to the sails and pulling ropes and all that stuff that sailors do. And you head up on a pretty northerly trajectory to the Vadachi port. You are assuaged of all of the details that we just discussed, because I don't want to make Damn Man have to go back over everything.
Yeah, that's alright. A bit regrettable we couldn't get to look inside the warehouse, but it's good that you managed to at least mostly count the men.
Well, yeah, we've got a good chance of taking one of the ships if we want. I reckon if we try to take both of them, people will start to ask questions. Right.
And Mr. Fallen, I'm assuming you're okay with Mr. Fallen being there as well. He's kind of your
Yeah,
second.
of course.
Actually, you know what? Probably in this instance, it would actually be Tiago. Who says, I feel that we would need a... It is good to know that there are less defended ships in this area. However, I feel like the reason to be taking it would be if we had a purpose for it, yes?
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
Oh, I cannot currently think of a particular purpose for a ship as small as a sloop, but there's a possibility we could like how you say with the sheep in wolf's clothing, you could do maybe some scouting of trading lanes and so forth before hitting them with this lucky lady.
Yes, I am not really fan of. I do not like the idea of merely sitting in water and hoping some trader ship comes around. I want to know where are they going, where we can catch them.
With something as small as a sloop, it could give you a bit of a advantage in scouting and looking for good targets to hit. But it is something to think about, at least, maybe, Captain.
Yes, that is a fair point. Out of character, my point is also when we are doing this, commercial transport, it is also just to know which way ships are going and what ships are needed and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
exactly to like get us better idea where to catch prey.
Um. Hmm. When I think we can probably follow the ship to the Vadachi port, unless anyone else, unless either of you have a particular conversation or things that need to be done on the journey.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Daman?
Nope, we're good.
Brooks is just like,
I'm not going to attack one of the crew.
I know. I was just saying, like, I could see Frank's like wandering into the quarters while everyone's supposed to be like, sailing, and Brooks is just there with his knife, just staring at it, being like, swishy, swishy, shiny, swishy, swishy, stab. And Frank's like puts his hands up and like slowly walks out backwards, like, nope, not dealing with that right now.
It would be entertaining, but no. At most, you'll see him, sharpening it, possibly, polishing it with something to make sure it's not too shiny.
Yeah.
Nothing that's weird, but
At the Vadachi port, you see, I would say possibly more unaffiliated ships. And again, this is my take. So if I'm wrong on this aspect of the law, feel free to correct me. The Vadachi have a tendency to use trading companies and individual independent merchants probably the most out of everyone.
I would agree, since they don't have like a solidified country, they have their princes.
Yeah. The port itself is not quite as large, but it's pretty big. Encompasses a good amount of the island. You've got a good like 20, 25 ships currently docked or in the area. A lot more coming and going as well. I guess my question would be, obviously you can dock, go through the same process as you did last time with Mr. Farlan, making some deals. He seems to be even better here at like talking to people and greasing palms, etc. So all of that goes off without a hitch.
Yeah, isn't he Wadachian?
He is, yes. And he tells you, he says, Captain Fernando, I can take, if you give me 10 of the men, we can transport the pottery, the pots, and the statues to their place of destination. Unless you would like
I was
to...
expecting the whoever is the addressee to pick it up themselves, but if they don't have the man, then of course, yes.
We will have to head there regardless to tell them that we have arrived. I figured we could maybe get in some good graces by also bringing the cargo over there as well.
Yeah, we definitely want to get in good graces of the local traders so that they know that we are new here and we are willing to take on business.
Perhaps I shouldn't say this about my own people, but the Vadachi always appreciate not having to do more work.
That is why we come in here and we can do the work for them.
There you go. Do we have any other business here, or are we looking to leave as soon as possible?
Practically speaking, I think we are just leaving, unless we just want to have literally like a day off, literally just have a short leave until the night, so everyone gets more drunk, and we will leave in the morning. But I don't really have a business in here.
I would.
And maybe again, like try to establish some social network. Maybe even contact local underground if there are any other pirates that we know about. But that is, I'm not sure I want to deal with this. And that now as a like in character, I don't think Don Jose thinks much of organized crime. He probably doesn't want to involve with such people.
Yeah. Well, if I can say, I feel that I a day of shore leave could be very good for morale in a situation where the trip was tougher. You know, the weather was worse and
Yeah, you are
took
exactly
longer.
correct that this trip went exceedingly well, even if we had low troops, like not many crew, but it went exceedingly well.
Yes.
So it's probably not needed.
In that case, I will get the delivery sent in. I will collect our payment, and we can head off back to the island.
Uh, Please, if you can, see if we can get any kind of letter of introduction, or who do we have to bribe for that?
I can probably get see to it that our names get out at least
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm looking for.
in this port. See if there are possible other contracts coming up soon. So I will see what I can make happen.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Oh. And within a fairly short amount of time, the crew have started to unload the cargo, and it starts getting transported off with Mr. Fallen over towards uh, towards the warehouse for the. It's an independent merchant, but from what Mr. Fallen has told you, they are connected with one of the noble families back in Vadache. Essentially, they were looking to get in good graces by bringing some nice pieces of art for a mansion type manor that's being built up on towards one of the hills.
Oh, something that can be looted if it is up on the hill. But they will probably have their own guards.
Possibly, but you know, it's always good to know that the possibility
Aye.
is there. Once all of that's done, and he stays a little bit longer at the trading house. Eventually he comes back, and you know, you're all set to set off again towards back to the island.
Yeah, I don't think there is much for us to do.
Yeah.
We're mostly just cruising. So yeah, we will have to like make some sort of like report from it, both what Mr. Bowden saw in the fortress
Mm.
and what mostly Mr. Farland, less about me, learned about the shipping practices in the region. If this is like somewhat populous route, if we saw other merchant ship, if we saw any patrolling military ship, that sort of thing, just to have some more. Like I can't say it's ship logs what we are producing here that we will can use to deduce where to like hunt for merchantmen, but something to add for like analysts, so to speak.
Mm. And Mr. Fallen says, I am, I am loath to offer a a rumor, a possibility, but in talking with this fine gentleman that was at the trading house, he mentioned to me that there was maybe another Vadachi trading house that had done some exploration, some looking at some of the islands further in towards the mainland, who managed to find uh, an area with some nice I'd call them precious gemstones. Yes.
Very nice.
And apparently, he says that they will be making their way back towards Vodachi in the next couple of weeks.
Right. And we know roughly where this gem area should be. So we should be able to guesstimate which way they will be taking.
They will be passing by maybe a few hours south of our island. So, um, as long as we are willing to, as long as we are willing to share a call it a finder's fee with this trading house, of course, keeping their names completely off of our lips, they would be willing to provide us with information enough to know when and where we would be able to find them.
This sounds like a very tempting offer. Like as a player, I am like, sure, I want to take this on. I'm just not sure if they want to trap us. If this is actually a counter pirate trap.
There is a small possibility of risk of. However, I do know both of the trading houses, and they are historically and traditionally enemies. So I would say that the risk is reasonably small because it makes sense that they would want to strike at this trading house with a way that could not be traced back to them and still profit from it, yes?
Yes, that is plausible.
They did also say there's a strong possibility of escort, at least one, maybe two ships. So it could be reasonably dangerous for us. I do not know what type of ship they were.
Yes.
I feel like
This will remain. Let's say that we tell the representative of the trading house we are interested, and then we will just submit this idea to the Pirate Council and see what they say.
okay. I will make the deal that if we do investigate and find this ship, then we will share a percentage with them. And who knows? One of the captains, one of the council, may decide that they want to undertake the endeavor. They are perfectly welcome to, attempt it.
Yeah. And then on the spot they will see what kind of guards it has, and hopefully they don't get our ship sunk.
Yeah. Okay. I will go do that quickly. Then we should be ready to go.
Yep. Thank you.
And yeah, heads off. Comes back a bit later. Kind of gives you the nod, basically saying, "All sorted out, all arranged. I have the information." And you all head back to the island. Swish, swish, swish. We don't need to do I feel like we're gonna run off that weather roll you did. Like, the weather's perfect. The weather's brilliant for getting back to the island, and it takes you a couple of days.
Huh. Magically, the wind is always behind us.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd say the Castilian god of the wind is just following behind you, blowing like.
One part of being good sailor is having also a lot of luck.
Yeah, and being a pirate.
That too.
You are greeted. I wouldn't say particularly triumphantly because you're not off on like some big grand adventure, but you did good work, and
I assume we still brought some money, like enough to at least not be in negative.
yes, no, you made a profit of let's call it 100 guilders. So feel free
Oh,
to.
that's not bad.
Yeah, feel free to add that to your supplies. I mean, it's a little bit of a run, and it was fairly important.
Yeah, I was really just expecting to break even, basically.
Yeah.
This
Nope.
is really more to establish contacts and do some work.
Open opportunity before we close up for if you'd like to have the conversation now about the details of the trip in terms of the council or individually with each other. Also any other kind of just general chat and etc. that is wanted. You anchor up with the Lucky Lucine. Not much to unload. Actually, probably what happens is a few more cannons get put on it, just for the next outing. In
Time for me
preparation.
to go and make my herb deliveries.
Yes.
One part of me actually, maybe I haven't noticed it, and I assume Don Fernando would think about it, would be to ask the Castilians, the captured Castilians, if they know any news from the home country, if anything interesting is going on, because Don Jose hasn't been there in more than half a year, probably by a year by now.
Yeah.
And last thing he knows was a letter from his brother back in there, like half a year ago, basically before he loaded on with Captain Longham.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they know anything new.
Tiago says, Don, the only main thing of note was that the people were getting uh, upset at the ongoing war with Avalon. From what I have heard, it was the same problem for Avalon, but of course we don't care about that. I don't think it was ever going to end up in some form of rioting or revolt or anything, but it was enough that the proposed truce peace treaty with Avalon was appealing enough to our king. I'm assuming they have a king, by the way. So-
Yeah, they do.
okay, cool.
There is a talk that basically the Inquisition is mostly running the country and the king is mostly a puppet,
Okay.
but they do.
He probably wouldn't be like the Inquisition said. He'd be like, yeah, the king. Yeah. Keep up the pretense of the king being in charge, I guess.
Mhm.
Uh, aside from that, there is a lot of excitement for coming here to the new world to establish, to set up, make it for yourself, yes? But so far, there's still some restrictions. Not everyone is allowed to make that move. You have to have the money. You have to have the capital to set something up here. Yes. So, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we will see a lot of people attempting to make their fortune here. But sometimes these things move slow.
Yeah, it is possible a land of opportunities, but who knows if there actually is anything here. So far, I have heard there is not that much money to be made here. There are some crops you can grow here, but there is no promised land of gold and silver and plunder.
I mean, it is yet to be seen. There is big, as the big land masses mostly unexplored. Who knows what is in them? Um, and hey, at least we have an island, yes?
Yes, we absolutely do. It is, yeah, best. I mean, I'm also like a second-born son. There is no chance I would be able to inherit anything, so I also need some opportunity to establish myself. And many of our people simply don't have anything to gain by staying in the home country.
It is true. I think a lot of them would be interested in leaving the home country, you know?
Yeah, there is not many opportunities. As you say, this is where you can start for free and well, not free, but you can start and have gained something here. There is still undistributed land that you may be able to grow something here for yourself.
think we'll slide over to Brooks delivering plants or potions or mint. Just armfuls of mint.
Well,
It
interesting
managed to
you say about that.
propagate during the sale.
Hey, look, I have plenty of mint, which is great. Bowden, I've got those things that you were asking for. Also, would you like some mint tea? Brooks will have actually brewed mint tea. But I mean, why else do you bring mint? That's if. Do we have a Bowden?
Do we have a Bowden?
Yeah, but I am here. I just thought the conversation was still on mint.
Okay.
Bowden, there you are. I've got those things you're after. Also, would you like some tea?
Oh, that was an actual thing you said to me.
Yep. He actually has a little pot of tea brewing where he would normally have his furnace.
Depends on what's in the tea.
Just some mint, nothing more concerning.
The fuck's mint?
You know what? You should try it.
Alright.
Be so much easier than me trying to explain.
Alright.
It
Do you have a
shouldn't kill
cup for
you.
me? Ah, screw it. I have a flagon somewhere.
He actually does, get a small cup and pour you a cup of tea. This is tea. It's not beer.
I do not know how Bowden would react to tea. It's not on the list of things that I thought about.
I mean, of course, he had to have tea. But
Oh,
here's the
that's
other
the wrong
things
one.
that you were after. Just be careful with them. And
I'm the pinnacle of being careful.
I'm glad to hear that because they're not easy to get hold of. Not as easy as some other stuff.
Bowden spits out the tea.
Are you okay there?
You can keep the drink.
Yeah.
He gives you like the cup back, and it's like still got most of it in it.
It tastes
I suppose-
like how evil feels.
Does the sign to ward off evil again?
He was only slightly concerned it was poison.
Yeah.
He's not sure. He doesn't think he was poisoned. And that would have been like if I rolled 100, I would have assumed you tried.
I mean, it would have been weird because I would have also be drinking out of the same teapot.
I don't know. Maybe you like poison.
Yeah, I'm going down that thing. I've just developed a tolerance for it.
You've microdosed poison.
Yep. It was secretly the nightshade all along.
Alright, but yeah, Bowden will take the herbs that you've gathered for him, and will what's the word I'm looking for? Shepherd him away somewhere secluded.
Hmm.
Because he doesn't really want everyone to know that he has a bunch of poisonous plants.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Plus, I'll need to make the basin and stuff to actually make the drink.
If only he'd asked, he may have been able to get a basin at the same time.
I could probably just carve one out of wood. Would it be hygienic? No.
I don't think it will matter.
I don't think it will matter.
Hey.
And then he will have, of course, deposited the some of the other plants in terms of all the regular herbs into the galley for them to use, keeping some of the actual plant ones himself for his own little garden that he's setting up.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually got the plant version of the nightshade, so we might be safe.
You didn't know, but the shopkeep was like, "Hey, if you know you're coming back, let me know and I can see about procuring something."
Yep.
All right. I think that's a good place to close things off, unless anyone else has any pressing conversations or matters.
So I plant some poppy fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
A mysterious fire destroys everything. Yum. Hey, look, at the end of the day, if you guys want to grow opium, then we can talk, you know.
Hey, Brooks, I made you a
Man
drink.
planted poppies and turns out it's cucumbers all along.
Yeah.
What would Brooks do under the effects of a berserker potion?
I don't think there is any change.
Nothing changes.
I
He's
mean,
just,
he probably noticed he was poisoned to begin with.
he's just a little more twitchy than usual.
I mean, yeah, the dagger might be all the way out, but you know, he's just sitting there stabbing a desk or something.
Gilligan walks in. Hey, bro. Oh, okay. No.
What
no.
are you doing to Mr. Desk?
Yeah.
Huh? What? Oh,
Man, that was Tristane's best friend. What?
I'm
He
gonna
came
stick.
from a long line of carpenters who made desks.
All I need
Oh.
to do is
is
Get
this
most
going
of
to
the
be the temptation to test the berserker potion on all the crew?
No, I just want to lock Tristan in a room with a couple people that I tested it on. See what
A
happens.
couple, okay.
It sounds like Bowden's trying to make some content. I locked 15 people in a room with a berserker potion for 24 hours. You won't believe what happened next.
What happens when the most posh man on the crew suddenly cuts loose? Cuts to Mr. Gilligan drinking a berserker potion.
Bro, you would poison me.
The
That's
surprising
rough.
thing is, I should have gone to Mr. Gilligan with the mint tea. He would have at least appreciated it.
I absolutely would have. I would have been like side eyeing you the entire time, being like sniffing it.
I really
Missed
hope you put the
opportunity.
correct plants in there.
I mean, if I didn't, it was going to get very interesting very fast.
just it smells like mint tea. Take a sip. Tastes
It's all
like
right. If
mint
I
tea.
use a small enough amount of the nightshade, it won't be lethal. It will just be very, very, very bad for you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Nori, boys, get him! I'm writhing on the ground in pain.
That's what the Hawthorns for.
So I think next session will probably be more island things and also a discussion as to the proposed shipment of possible precious gems, like the viability. Most likely, there'll probably be, my guess would be at least one of the council will be like, I want to do this. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
Do we have the resources to take on 3 different ships?
We still don't know how big ships those are.
It really depends. Seeing as it's a Vadachi trading company or like a Vadachi based trading company, most likely they don't have the resources to field like, you know, a couple of freaking frigates or anything. So it might be an opportunity to grab yourself a ship or two, as well as, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible to tell. Although, I mean, you could always like scope it out, and if it seems a bit too dangerous, then just not take the risk. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe you guys won't even end up taking up the offer and just being like, nah, we'll just go searching for, you know, someone else.
We haven't had a good mark in a while.
Yeah. In that case, I will end things here for the recording. As always, it was a fun session. I will say, as much as I do enjoy having a load of people in, it's kind of cool having like the 4 of you, so we could focus a bit more on the characters, have a few more like kind of conversations, etc. Although I will say for Brooks, I'm like, well, maybe we don't do that again. Yeah. There's delving into a character's mind, and then there's just a concerning like
A concerning level of
mental
wait, what?
breakdown.
Oh no, he's a sociopath with compulsion problems.
Yeah.
As you were talking about herbalists, I was like, was there a drifting character about Botany that turned out to be a maniac?
True.
Hey, it's fine. He's got his mint tea. He will be nice and calm.
Right.
That's the crutch.
Yep.
I did find it kind of fun to, because usually Bowden's in more scenes. It's kind of nice to just kind of sit back and just listen.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't quite realize I was actually being offered mint tea. I actually thought that was a gag. That's why I didn't respond right away.
All right. Signing off.